Welcome to the Business Services Café, brought to you by ABSL Hungary and powered by Brandfizz employer branding. My name is Ádám Horváth and I'm your host for this energizing coffee break. Today, we are serving up fresh insights on the transformation of the shared services sector with a special focus on change management and the future of business services and business service centers. I'm excited to have Krisztina Molnár, Head of Transformation and BSE of Fressnapf International Business Services, joining us as our guest. Good to have you here.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
So, grab your favorite cup of coffee, get comfortable, and join us. We brew up expert insights and inspiring conversations right here at the Business Services Café. Thanks for tuning in. Let's dive in. Krisztina, I'm thrilled to have you here. What is the meaning of BSE in your title?
This is Business Service Excellence. So as you know that in the shared service environment, we have been using a lot of abbreviations. So this is one of these. This is also part of my role.
All right. So you have 15 years of experience in this field, and we're going to focus on the transformation and the change. And before we jump in, let me ask you very short espresso questions. So how do you usually take your coffee?
It's white, a bit of milk, but being honest, I try to get rid of coffee because I'm drinking too much. So I try to switch to tea.
Ah, okay. And when you are in Italy?
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation, but in Italy you need to also consider, the time during the day, because there are also some, principles that what kind of coffee you can drink in the morning or in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't have your coffee meetings, you have tea meetings?
Tea and coffee, so it's on the way at the moment, but that's a kind of lifestyle change, what is in front of me. But I also prefer coffee because I really like the taste and the smell of the coffee.
Definitely. So when you have a coffee meeting, what are your main go-to topics?
It's a good question, but what I can also confirm that it's not about formal discussions. It's more about the person. It's really important to get to know the person whom I work with. And sometimes it's also the good opportunity to vent, because during the day, during the change, the transformations, the everyday, we don't have the opportunity to give the people these kind of, sessions, minutes to really vent out and discuss certain topics which are not part of the formal conversation.
Human connections.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, so the highest level of making a coffee is, let's say, the barista level. What are your barista level skills you find essential in your role?
Actually, I'm used to say to everyone that I use the 3 Ps, because you can also manifest it to any of the functions.
I have the 4 Ps from marketing, so yes, let's unwrap it.
So it's 3 Ps, which is about being practical, being prudent, and also persistent, because this is really required skills and competencies what I need in every day.
Yeah, and as a leader, this is maybe the base of credibility.
Yes, but the barista also needs that when serving, the different kind of customers.
Yeah. So what experiences have been key ingredients in brewing your success stories in the last years?
Well, as you mentioned that I have more than 15 years of experience, and I had many transversal roles, and I had the opportunity to participate and establish shared service center, transform, and also re-engineer them. And that gave the essence, which I'm also using as a kind of knowledge in my current role as well.
Great to hear that. Today's episode is all about transformation in business services and maybe change. When we talk about transformation and change in the context of business services, how do you differentiate these two, change and transformation?
It's a really good question, and probably my answer will be quite obvious that both are part of everyday life. Change is more frequently because I call change as a kind of evolution that gradually comes. That's part of your life. Transformation, it's more a revolution, which is triggered by a certain moment coming from the market, coming from the customer needs, and that require more complexity, more treatment, but it's not a kind of challenge which cannot be solved.
People are afraid from transformation as well, or it's only for change?
Actually, I think it's coming from the human nature that we don't like change. So we used to say in the shared service environment that we love change because we are change adaptive, but this is not right because this is really against the human nature. But transformation, as I said, it's more complex, it's more broad, and having a bigger impact and implication on the organization. So that's why it needs to be treated really, really well and requires a lot of planning and sometimes, external support if you don't have the capability within the shared service environment.
I understand. So maybe transformation is the umbrella and change is these are the smaller steps or tactics level. Is it right or not?
Yes, you can also say it in other words that transformation is a change of it's a chain of changes actually, okay, which takes a bit more line than a usual change.
Okay. Let's move on and I'm really interested that what is the catalyst for transformation in business service centers? How do you prioritize the areas when you start change? Which areas need change first?
Let me step back first and answer to the first part of the question, that what triggers, it can be a catalyst, but I call it more, triggers or root causes, which bring the company to the consideration that something needs to be dramatically and fundamentally changed.
I started with the second step, but this is the first one.
Yes,
okay.
exactly. So you need a trigger for that to make your decision. And in terms of that, which are the functions that you need to consider? There is always, the dilemma that you need to consider back office, front office activities, or it's also a question, the maturity of your processes. Also, it's dependent that there is an urgent need which is pushing you to a different kind of directions. So based on the statistics, if I can refer that, finance is always the first one. But I have seen also many examples, and the companies were really taking risk and making different decisions and starting with the business functions, which are definitely hitting suppliers and customers at the end of the day, but they could manage it and they were successful. So one of my sayings, what I'm using in certain situations, that what fits for the purpose.
All right. Can you help us with a couple of examples when we are talking about transformation from the last couple of years? What are the typical transformation projects in this sector?
Probably the first idea what comes to my mind is really the end-to-end mindset. Because 20 years ago, when we went back and established the centers, then we were really focusing on the transactional part. Now this is over. This is the end-to-end mindset because this is delivers, the performance and also accountability. Secondly, the digital transformation, which is also an urging need, and this is an inevitable. So you can't afford that you are not focusing such kind of things. Thirdly, that if you would like to also centralize activities and using the holy trinity of cost, quality, and also speed, then definitely that's the direction where the company starts to go.
I understand. Can you please describe a couple of key challenges people face when starting a transformation as a leader?
The first most important thought what comes to my mind, what I'm used to tell to the people, that you need to accept that today will be totally different tomorrow. And as I also mentioned at the beginning, that, it's have an impact, an emotional and human impact. That's why it's really crucial to have, a sustainable and well-planned, change management. Because if it's not part of your project or your pipeline, then definitely you need to face with certain challenges which will be really, really difficult to manage if you are not prepared for that.
Yeah, but maybe the whole base changing something things or transform maybe a whole business unit, the change, your words, not mine, is somehow against the basic human nature. So how to cope with that as a leader?
It's training. It's a lot of training. And that should be bread and butter of the organization, because as I said, changes and transformations are inevitable because the market is changing quite rapidly, especially in the shared service environment. We have a fast-paced world. We also need to consider political situations and environmental changes. So it needs to be part of the people operations or the HR functions that you are preparing your full population, not just the leaders, but also to the people. And whenever you have a possibility to have pilots or sandbox or any kind of opportunities when people can really stress test these kind of situations, then definitely will help you in certain situations when a moment comes that you need to transform.
What are the potholes in the human aspect of transformation? What are the potholes for this topic? And we will continue with the success drivers. So what to avoid and how to avoid these mistakes?
I think it's really, really important to have a fully fledged plan, and also having right trainings, but you need to also keep the pulse on the organization on a continuous basis. You can't convince people all the time, and sometimes it's really difficult to get the buy-in. But if you have a comprehensive plan and you also keep the focus on the key factors which can bring you or eliminate the risk or increase the risk, then it will help you to avoid these kind of pitfalls. But in transformation, sometimes we are also saying that when it's really about the whole transformation of the company, processes, organization, structure, everything, probably including the leadership as well, that it's a kind of rabbit hole. You can plan, but life is always different, and you might also face certain situations which were not predicted.
And on the very tangible side, maybe too much transformation in the same time, or the responsibilities. So on a very practical level, what can you suggest for new leaders or junior leaders in this position, what to avoid on a practical level?
What I would really suggest, and this is based on my 15 years of experience, that be mindful and don't wait till the last minute, because that's also my...
What do you mean by that?
I can give you a practical example that's quite recent. Actually, this is a bit also the case at Fressnapf at the moment, that as we don't like change, we really pushing and try to prolong it. But there is a certain moment when you cannot prolong it. And in that moment, this is, the realization of truth that sometimes you created a so complex system that you have created more work and more complexity at the end of the day for yourself, instead of starting a bit earlier and working according to a comprehensive plan. So that's a big learning for me, that you can't avoid it, but we need to be brave and taking the first steps. And the second advice, what I could also give, you need to have a plan which applying a sequenced approach. I have also seen many companies on the market who started to have digital evolution, changing the organization, also having an end-to-end mindset. That's too much for the organization, and that might also lead to the point that some of the points will fail or will have a serious impact, especially on the human part of the organization.
I love both of them. Let me close this part, the human aspect of transformation with the key success drivers. So based on your experience, what can you suggest for leaders? What are the key success factors when you try to make a successful transformation?
Communication. It's absolutely clear and key in this context. It's also really important to have the right level of communication in the right moment and using the right channels. And I can also give you a really practical example, which is also coming from my past, that formal corporate communication does not equal to the communication to the people. And there should be also repetition. And I'm talking about really simple things like semantics, words, because we are not using our mother tongue. The translation, that how we understand and interpret different kind of messages might be also different meaning behind. So that's why it's really important that we are communicating to leaders and people on the ground who are working in the front line, that sometimes the wording is different, however, the message should be the same.
Okay, I love that. Great, so let's move forward. We cannot conduct a podcast like this without mentioning AI. So please help us to understand how transformation in this sector comes together with AI. This is the biggest transformation, or it will help the speed of transformation or quality? What is your opinion or your experience with this field?
I really like this question because I have a unique perspective on this topic, because I believe that there is a big hype around AI. For me, it's more about technology and digitalization. So it's crucial to have a company or a shared service environmental roadmap, what's really fitting to your future strategy and also for your processes. So it's not just about AI, it can be machine learning, it can be RPA, any kind of digitalization solutions platform. So it's really important that what fits for you and what's really driving your goals and also targets. So AI, it's nice, but based on also my discussions, people on the market who have already, let's say, invented and implemented and invested a lot of money, most of the time they say that was too early. And they did not take it into account that what's the scope or what's the purpose what they would like to use it. Being a service entity, it's really, really important that you raise this question before you go to the market and you start to buy any kind of, information technology tools, because at the end of the day, it might happen that you will put it on the shelf and you will never use it.
Yeah, it was the mindset of Steve Jobs. He also said that you have to start from the customer experience and then support this experience with technology, and this is the right way, and not sitting around the table and looking the beautiful and amazing technology and then figure out backwards how to integrate into our processes because this technology is cool. So yeah, maybe you have the same. Do you have the same opinion like Steve Jobs? You cannot say no to this question. Okay, let's move on. I would like to ask you about the leadership role. How you achieve or how you get buy-in from the management level and on the same time on the employee level. So what are your tactics? What are your suggestions when someone tries to get buy-in from the organization on many levels?
Good question. It's the answer is also can be a bit more complex, but probably the best if I refer back, to the approach what I have mentioned in terms of communication and change management. Definitely, the leadership has a crucial role. They need to provide a sponsorship on that. They need to be behind the change, because I also saw a couple of examples that leadership communicated one message, but when they had the individual discussions, that was ruined in a minute, and that can really undermine and diminish the purpose of the full transformation.
This is about credibility. It's not only in transformation,
exactly.
It's about leadership credibility.
Yes, but communication and credibility and providing, a sustainable stability for the people is essential in transformation, because it might happen that every day will be different until the point that you will reach your final goal. So communication. I cannot repeat it enough, and I don't believe when somebody is saying that you can over-communicate something. There is no over-communication.
Yeah.
Never.
You sent out 7 times, and almost someone during the coffee break
raise the same question, which was already, yes, the answer was already transmitted 7 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is human nature. And maybe this is why it's really important to have a healthy communication mix and mix the channels, the timing, the platforms, the communicators, the people or the leaders. Yeah, I love this approach. So, looking ahead, how do you envision the role of business service centers in the upcoming 5 to 10 years? How do you see the future of this sector?
If I also quote on somebody whom I heard many, many years ago on a conference, they have predicted that around 2025, which is actually the next year, that 30% of the shared services will become digital business solutions and not...
What does it mean?
Digital solutions that they will apply different kind of digital tools, minimum 30-40% of their processes. And if you also consider the market, not just in Budapest, but all around the world, I think we have reached that target. And that will continue. And especially those shared services which are mature and established long time ago. So they have a lot of capability which was built in the past 10, 15 years. These are really rich ground to be a catalyst for the next level. And also the target model, the core model will change. So this is the direction where I can see that the shared services can play a really important role, because if you also consider the human aspect of the story, you will also have challenges already on the labor markets, but you also need to collect the niche skills. You need to keep them and develop them, because the shared service centers, I think they will become either digital centers, dependent of the transactional services, or will become, COEs, where you would need these kind of competencies. So this is how I can envisage, if I'm looking back 20 years, that how we started and where we are going now.
Okay, interesting, super exciting future and vision. We have a closing section in this podcast, the espresso shots, short questions and short answers. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So my first question is, what was your first transformation project ever? Do you remember?
Yes, short answer. That was early career ages, building up a finance center, which was replicated in many locations, and building up a GBS on that.
Wow, great. Did you like it?
Yes.
Okay.
That was an important momentum of my life.
Wow, thanks for sharing. So next question, who is your biggest change agent in the company?
Everybody, people.
Okay, let me challenge this. If you have to choose one person, who is your biggest change agent?
I would say the leadership.
Okay. The next question is about the transformation. What's one book that is your analogy with transformation in the BSE sector?
You will smile on that, and I think many people will smile on that, because they are not really expecting that I will tell it. It's a book, or actually it can be also seen as a film, Lord of the Rings.
Why?
If you consider that how the story starts with the fairy world and how it's ends, that the fairies, the dwarves and elves are sailing away, and that's the start of the human mankind, then this is a transformation.
Yeah, I love this analogy. Okay, let's move on. What is the biggest misconception in this sector when it comes to transformation or change?
It might sound a bit repetitive that I'm referring back to my sentence that we are afraid of that. And we are still facing some challenges coming from the corporates. What I can see after 20 years, that you are not capable, we will have a lack of knowledge. And if you also put it in a kind of bowl and we shake it up, because transformation is shaking up the whole world, then definitely it will be a failure. No, it's not a failure. It's a kind of, let's say, first attempt of learning. And you need to try, because if you don't try, then you will lose the opportunity.
Cool. Please list the 5 most commonly used abbreviations in this sector with meaning.
I will bring some examples to my own words. So BSE, like Business Service Excellence, what we mentioned at the beginning. SLA, Service Level Agreement, no matter whether you are a hybrid BPO outsource model or captive model.
Yeah, the Bible.
The Bible, exactly. So these need to be kept. KPIs and OPIs, so key performance indicators, operational performance indicators, we measure performance. BCP, business continuity, it's crucial, especially during transition because the show must go on. And probably the POC, which is proof of concept, when you need to get the buy-in and you are putting together the business cases, that's a crucial component of the story.
It's about growth, right? So if you have this is the key to growth. All right, I try to make some notes and list everything, but thank you for sharing. And my final espresso shot question is, can you please share a quick tip for soft skill development? What is the most important skill in this sector? What do you think?
Flexibility and adaptability, being open and being ready for the change all the time. I think this is a key driver in the shared service environment, and it can be learned. You need to be afraid of that. So if you get the right support and you ask the right questions, then definitely you will get there. Okay,
I like it. Based on that, maybe the leaders from this sector can be also ballet dancers. Flexibility is almost there. Or if you want to find analogies with other professions, what do you think, from which profession can you bring the most when you enter this sector? From military, from sport? What is your opinion about these skills?
If I refer back to my 3 Ps, definitely if somebody is coming from the sport, then certain level of skills are there. But you mentioned belly dancing, so probably dancer could be also, because sometimes you need to dance tango and not hula hula. Oh. So if you have this kind of ambitious mindset and also creativity, then that will definitely make you successful.
Now this analogy, because you have to listen to the music. You are not the one who is playing the music,
that's giving the pace for you.
Yeah, I love it. All right. As we start wrapping up, please give us an advice or to our audience based on the last couple of minutes we were spending talking about the transformation and change. What is your key takeaway?
I will share one of my favorite sayings, and this is really describe, transformation and the shared service environment. It says that transformation is not about waiting for the storm passing away. It's really about learning how to dance in the rain.
All right. So prepare your umbrellas when you enter this sector. No, just start to learn how to dance and enjoy it, right?
Yes, it's really important. But I think in each and every function, it's not just about my role, but every role in the shared service environment. You need to really enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, then it will become a pain. And after a while, it will become a hurdle. And probably you need to change because, however, you don't want to change.
The shared service sector is a great place to learn how to dance, how to cooperate with others. Lots of interesting people from all around the world. So this is the right place. All right. What an incredible discussion today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Big thanks to you. So our guest today was Krisztina Molnár from Fressnapf. And your experience in transformation and the digital strategy, when we were talking about AI, was incredible. So thank you again for joining. It's always inspiring to have conversations like that.
Thank you for the opportunity for being here.
All right. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button or ring the bell, depending on the platform you are listening or watching us. And please leave us a review. It's very important, and share with your network on LinkedIn, or just talk about it. We are really interested in your opinion, so your support means everything to us. So as we continue to bring you the best conversations in the industry. It's very important to hear your voice. Please comment, leave your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, keep your cups full and your minds brewing. We will get back to you with the next episode of the Business Services Café.